We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani. Glad you're tuning in today on this Tuesday. Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, that's right. So listen, we're going to dive into a new series today. We're talking about infidelity, affairs, how to end these relationships, how to end a relationship with someone you love. Wow, what a powerful word. I'm using the word love. We can unpack that in a comprehensive way because I know just off the title alone, it's offensive. But there's a lot that needs to be done to sever these relationships to restore your marriage, and we're going to be talking about that today. Listen, we're excited because in just a couple of days, the Last Chance Weekend is here. So we ask that you extend your prayers and good well wishes to those who are going to be in attendance. They're coming for healing and restoration, and we believe that they're going to get exactly what they came for. For those of you who are still interested, there's still yet room. So check out this testimonial from a gentleman who just went through the experience and see how it impacted him.
Hello, my name is Darren Wilson. I am from Illinois. I come down to the Couples Academy with my wife because our marriage was in a place that I didn't want to be in. I had emotional affairs with the woman, and it really hurt my wife. And she was ready to walk away from this marriage. We've been married 15 years, and I understood where she was at. So I reached out to Couples Academy and the team, and they were tremendous. Got here to Georgia, and at first coming in, I was anticipating everything that I had saw and read about it. I was expecting things to just turn out and to be to really point the finger at my wife, to show her what she did wrong. And this weekend allowed me to look into myself and see where I was wrong, and to look at the things that I was doing, try to justify my actions. Friday after the reveal, or when everything came out, that was hard. The disclosure was, to me, harder than I thought, because I had to hear some things about myself, and I had to also hear some things that my wife had did, and that hurt. It hurt. And honestly, I kind of gave up on the process. I was ready to just say, you know what, I didn't know it was that deep, so I was ready to throw the towel in. But the team down here kept reassuring me, man, just trust the process, trust the process. And it was hard. It was hard because I like to see the outcome, and I couldn't see the outcome from where I was. I couldn't see my wife going home with me. I couldn't see us together. But the next day, oh man, that was a pivotal moment for me, because it allowed me to see some things and to really pull up some emotions that, man, I just didn't really think I had for my wife. I mean, I thought, okay, she leave. But after that exercise, I couldn't imagine my wife leaving. I couldn't imagine a day without my wife. So then to come back after that exercise to be reunited with my wife, oh man, I felt something in her. When she hugged me and I hugged her, the hug was different. It was a reassuring hug. So coming back from the exercise and to feel the embrace, to feel the love, it was an awesome experience. And later on that day, just throughout the day, the tools that we got, everything that the team presented, all the tools, all of the facts, all of the videos, information, the note taking, man, it was it was a surreal experience because going through that, it just built up the hope that was there. It made it bigger than me. I mean, it was the hope that I walked away from Saturday night was just, it was awesome. And the last day, just sitting around, just checking out the vibe, just looking at my wife from a different perspective now, seeing her in a way that I hadn't seen her in a while, paying attention to her now. And this thing has really been a blessing to me, so, I would encourage anybody that's going through any kind of problems in your marriage, even if you're not going through problems, I would encourage you to check out the Couples Academy. Why? Because it will take your marriage to another level. I know where I was at. I know where we were as a couple. And to walk away from here with hope, to walk away from here going back home to my kids. Me and my wife are one. We're no longer two broken people. We no longer seeing each other as roommates. We walking out of here as a couple. Like the team said, from power struggle to power couple. And we can see that now. We can see that. We can see there's a vision for that. And with the tools that we have acquired, I'm gonna say this. You give us 6 months and we will be a demonstration of that power couple.
Wow. I mean, what a comprehensive kind of walkthrough of what the weekend is like. He took it day by day. You could hear the sincerity and the genuineness in his testimonial, and they have gone through some tremendous transformation following what has occurred during that weekend. Join the Moving Forward program. The work continues, him and Foundry. So I just want to honor him and thank him for plunging in, taking the journey that led to his ultimate transformation and the restoration of their marriage. And so, listen, guys, we're here. If you think about it, the people who come to Last Chance Weekends, they come because there's crisis, there's situations, there's things that they're going through, and they're coming here to get a healthy foundation to turn things around. And that's what we're excited about. But we're going to dive into today's topic, how to end an affair with someone you love. That word love, I know it's a triggering word, it stings, but let's unpack it because, we've talked about there's a major difference between affair love and authentic love, right? So if you think about when you're in a marital relationship and you've been with someone for some time, you've transitioned beyond, not that you don't have it, but you've transitioned beyond just simply having what we would call eros love, that emotional, sensual, sexual type of heartfelt connection you have with someone. Then it kind of transitions into phileo love, that caring love that you have for another person, wanting the best for their lives. And then when you're going through hardships and trials and tribulations, that's when agape love comes in, because it helps you to become the person you need to be and show up in the relationship you need to, in the way that you need to, in order to have a long-lasting relationship. But however, when we're talking about affair love, we're talking about something called limerence. We're talking about something that is probably not as comprehensive. It's more feeling and oriented based. Really, it's a strong infatuation. It could be somewhat of an obsession that you have with someone. And it's based upon a false pretense, because when you're in an affair, you never get all of who a person is. You're only getting a percentage, a portion. And so while you're only getting 10, 15, 20%, you think that 20% represents the totality of who that person is. And there's excitement, there's newness, there's a freshness, and there's an emotional intensity attached to that particular relationship. And so maybe you've been in a short-term relationship for a couple of weeks. Maybe it's extended to a few months. Maybe for some of you it's been years, okay? But no matter how long that relationship is, whatever love you think you felt, whatever feelings and emotions you actually did experience, it is a certain type of an experience based upon the nature of the relationship. And so when there's this strong emotional tie and bond, there's a process that you have to go through when ending the affair. Okay, so we want to take some steps and kind of walk through what this is. And so as a step one, if we were to put steps to how to end these relationships, number one, you have to have realistic expectations. expectations. And what we mean by that is when you make the decision to do that, you got to realize that there are going to be a whole lot of emotions attached to it. You're going to have feelings of resentment, possibly heartbreak, anger, sadness, pity. You're going to be going through all types of emotions because you're breaking up something that you've been attached to for whatever reason. And having the right expectations about what you're entering into is going to be crystal and clear in terms of being successful in your journey. Then you have to really, when you're ending an affair, you have to be honest with yourself and you have to unpack who in essence you're hurting. Because there's many people who are involved who are hurt by this experience. Not only are you hurting yourself, but of course you're hurting your spouse. Interestingly enough, you're also hurting that affair partner based upon, I don't know, whatever the understanding or the lies or the deception that was involved in that particular affair. But you're also hurting your children. We talk about this all the time, that children are impacted when there's an affair with a couple, right? Because they're witnessing the pain of one parent caused by another, and so they have their own pain as well, so it's almost like a double pain. You're hurting family and friends. You're hurting the community that you're a part of. Because in essence, when you're going through hardship, and for some couples, unfortunately, it ultimately ends in divorce, it really negatively impacts the community and the relationships that you've had. And so at the end of the day, an affair is a not selfless, selfish act that only considers yourself and not all of the other individuals involved. But once you come into an understanding of who is impacted by your poor decision, it should build up enough strength and energy and ability to do what's necessary to end the affair, no matter how difficult. So when you have that in a proper perspective, it's critically important to understand that. And this is why we say, there's got to be a healthy dose of shame and a healthy dose of guilt, but ultimately you want to transition from shame to guilt, because shame is a focus on oneself. So you feel bad about yourself. You feel bad because what you're going through, woe is me. And there's not enough attention of what you've done to other people. But when you transition to guilt, it's outwardly focused, it's otherly focused. You begin to focus on the pain that you've caused other people. And so once you've done that, it helps you to move forward in the process of ending the affair. Let's go to another step. Number 3, you've got to draft what you're going to say. This should not just be an off-the-cuff conversation. This should not be done through text. This should not just be done through a casual conversation. In essence, you're ending forever a relationship that has compromised your own integrity and the integrity of your marriage. And if you don't do this the right way, you may find yourself in a situation where you're in one day, you're out the next. You're in one day, you're out the next. Your mind is telling you to leave, but your body keeps pulling you back in, right? Your heartstrings are all over the place. And so sometimes you have to take the time to have a comprehensive unpacking of what you're doing. So just like when we're working with couples and we talk about the importance of written monologues. A written monologue is not a dialogue. It is me getting my thoughts out on paper and really covering all the bases and having a strong message that I'm going to deliver, in this case, to my spouse when we're doing marriage monologues. But when it's an affair relationship, when you end it, you want to make sure that you've taken the time to draft your message, to have it all down on paper, to get everything out that you want to say and deliver it. Now, when you do that, when I say deliver it, not in terms of physically delivering it and handing it over, you will then read what you have written on that paper so that everything is covered. And you got to be mindful that when you're delivering this message, it cannot be a message that gives a false hope to the affair partner. You can't say, well, I still love you, but I have to end this because, I need to give my marriage a second chance, but I still love you. Because what that does is it gives your partner, your affair partner, hope that the love that you have will loop you back into that relationship. And then what you're also doing is you're shifting blame to your spouse and to other circumstances as to the reason why you have to end it. But you have to take ownership for your poor choices and the bad decisions and the rippling effect that it's had on you, your marriage, your family, And you not only have to do the right thing by ending the affair, you have to do it to save you from yourself, okay? And so once you've delivered that message, that should be your final conversation. There should be no room for any other interactions. And this is why you want to implement what we call the no contact contract. The no contact contract says that you're going to cut off all forms of communication through telephone, through text, through email, social media, any type of physical interaction, being nowhere in proximity of the affair partner. But it is a final end in cutting off of that relationship. And when those things begin to happen, all of a sudden you're setting yourself up for success in terms of permanently ending the relationship. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back after this quick announcement. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
All right, guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Glad you are tuned in. Listen, we appreciate all of those who are with us here live this morning, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter. We go live on Twitter. We're glad that you're here. And for all those that continue to watch the replays after we go live, we appreciate you. And oftentimes the question comes in, well, how can I get my questions answered? Well, you got to come on live, because when you come on live, we answer your questions in real time. And based upon what we're talking about today, a few questions have just come in, so we want to address them. Felicia says, what happens when the conversation just stops? with no conversation and you just ghost the affair partner, taking no responsibility for what happened? That's an excellent question, because many people just want to end it, just want to move on, but the way and the methodology and the approach that they take is really counterproductive. And what happens is they leave a window or a door open of opportunity for someone to slip in later on. Not that that was necessarily their intention, that may not have been so at all, but you have certain types of personalities that don't confront, right? They just leave, hoping that all the problems will just go away. And the reality is, what happens is, oftentimes there's a reach out. Happens during the holidays, happens during special days, happens during birthdays. Hey, just reaching out to see how you're doing, what's going on with you. And all it takes is the inquiry. And then it slips a person right back into what they desperately tried to get out of. And so if you're not crystal clear, and if you're not having a direct conversation, ending the affair and even explaining why, then you could be setting yourself up for a connection at some point later on in the future. And that could be disastrous to your relationship. Listen, not only do you owe it to yourself, but you owe it to the affair partner as well, to explain why it has to come to an end. And of course, you owe it to your spouse. And so this is why it's got to be done in a particular way. And at the end of the day, if you're not taking ownership and responsibility for what you've done, in essence, what you've done is you've minimized what you've done. And so if you don't have a process in which you confront yourself, what's keeping you from slipping back into the same bad behavior again if it's not done the right way? And so that's why when we take couples through our intensive process, we make sure that we've ended the affair with the proper messaging in the right way, also in the presence of their spouse, which is critically important, because oftentimes there's not a lot of closure there. I mean, I had to assume that you ended it. I think that's what you did. That's what you said you did, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But yet and still, there's a contact that happens. And this is what happens. If you don't shut it down completely, it leads to a further reach out. Somebody asks a question, well, what if they have children? Well, that's a different situation, right? And so I'm glad you asked that question. So when we work with people who have been in an affair and children have been involved, then the relationship as they once had it has to permanently come to an end. That portion is over. But yes, you have to be there to co-parent the child. But now you want to introduce another person into this relationship, and that's the spouse, right? And so, for instance, if I had an affair and I had a child and my wife decides to stay, she now becomes a part of every conversation, every interaction that I'm going to have with the former affair partner, because we want to maintain integrity and transparency, and we don't want to give, our spouses a false impression. We don't want to create more suspicion. And so there should not be an individual soul relationship between you and the affair partner. The spouse has to come alongside and be involved in the process. And that's just what it is. And depending upon the age of the child, some are babies, some are 5 to 10 years old, some are teenagers. How in depth and the dynamics and the rules that you establish are going to be predicated upon a number of different factors. But at the end of the day, the spouse has to be involved in that process. I'm reading these comments in real time. Ralph says, then that person is not taking responsibility for the pain and suffering that they have caused because they didn't acknowledge it. I totally agree. We're talking about ending the affair and the difference between making a decision and sending forth a message that you deliver yourself to the affair partner, and ghosting. Ghosting just never, ever, ever works. All right, another comment says, hello. What if he fesses up to being married, leaves the affair, then later goes back and only walks away the second time after she gives him an ultimatum? Well, yeah, this is a problem. This is why you need counseling, because there's something that there's still an attachment there. Let me just say this. There's a difference between being single and separate. If I'm in a relationship with an affair partner on Monday and I break up with that person on Wednesday, though I'm physically separate from that person, I may not be single yet. And this is where we get into emotional ties or soul ties. There's something that draws me to, that's connecting me there. I haven't made a hard break and breach. And for some, to be quite honest, it's beyond the decision to end it. Like, so if I leave on Wednesday, there's still an attachment that has to be unraveled because there's an entanglement there. And so it starts with a decision, but then there's the journey that you take afterwards. Just as the betrayed spouse has triggers about the affair, the person who's involved in the affair also has triggers and ties and all types of things that are going on. And all of that has to be severed. And for some things, it takes a period of time. And that's why you have to go through a process with someone who can guide you through it to get you to a place of healing and wholeness and complete separation. Another question that just came in, we have changed phone numbers and emails, and our grown children have blocked her on all social media to keep the ex-affair partner from contacting. Awesome. I think that's great. You're taking all the measures and steps. Some would just say, I'm going to just block them. But when you change your phone number, that's taking it to the next level, right? And the challenge is, I have my own business and I got all my contacts in my phone and I can't let go of my phone because I'm going to lose my business and stuff. Listen, Joker, I can't tell you how many times I changed my number, right? And they'll find you. If they're doing business with you and if they want you and love your services, they will find you. In fact, if you're going to change your phone number, send a message to all your clients and let them know you're switching your number and here it is for further contact. That's what social media is for. There's all different ways to go around this. But if we don't take these necessary steps, all we're doing is engaging in excuses. All right, but let's continue to go. Then number 4, in the affair, right? That's common sense, in the affair. Well, why are we saying this? Because this whole thing is about ending the affair. Because a lot of times people make decisions to do something, they have intentions to do something, but they don't pull the trigger. They don't do it. They justify why they just need more time. Or if circumstances are right, or when this happens, or when that's set up, and I'll do it at that particular time. And all you're doing is furthering the process. You're delaying it, and it's causing more pain to all parties involved. Here's another point that I think is critically important to mention. Now, you've given your message, right? You've told the affair partner that it's over, but there's a temptation to then have a closure meeting, right? Well, you know what? I think it's only fair because we've been in this relationship for so long that, I'd rather do it in person, or, her birthday's coming up soon and, I just want to end it off well, and, or I just want to see the child one more time, or once we do this, or once this happens, or I can't delay it now, because of, there's a financial tie, and, once certain things are paid off, then we can end it, and then we can have a closure conversation. And all these are poor justifications and rationalizations for ending the affair. But let's just say you've ended it and you want to have this closure conversation. And so what happens is you're going to meet alone with your affair partner for one last time. Come on, folks, we know what that's about. And so what you're doing is you're making it even harder on yourself, more painful on your spouse, and more difficult, and the affair partner, and more difficult to break away from it, because there's something else that entangles you. You want to have a final memory and a final moment and a final expression of your feeling towards each other before ending it. And it's a setup for disaster. And we've seen many people attempt to do this, and it's gone horribly wrong. Okay, let's see what this says. This is a long one. This brought up a great question for my husband. He ended the affair with his coworker and left the job. He didn't end it the day he left, just told her he was taking a week off and never went back. After talking to her, she was happy. It was like that. It was that cut and dry, I guess. He deleted her number and we blocked her anywhere she couldn't contact him. It ended. He never looked back. Okay. Well, he left his job, so that's an awesome thing. I still think a conversation should have taken place, because I just think that that's the responsible thing to do, because we've seen time and time and time again, even when you just end the job, you leave, you move on, you block your numbers. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen time and time again where there could be the potential of a reach out. Not that it's guaranteed. It's not. But I do want to honor him for the steps that he took, because if I'm understanding this right, he left his job. And that's a hard decision to make, because there's a financial consequence oftentimes that's attached to ending an affair the correct way. But if you have a love for your marriage, and if you're committed to the future of your relationship and of your family, sometimes you're going to make these difficult decisions for the betterment of all parties involved. So kudos to him for what he did. All right. Another point, listen, you want to pinpoint your desires to prevent future affairs, right? So oftentimes the reason why the affair happened is because there was something going on inside of me, or there was something going on inside of the relationship, or something missing from it. And so those became the reasons of the justifications that I stepped out. So if I'm making a commitment to get back into and be recommitted to my marriage, well, we now have to do an assessment. What was wrong in the first place? What drove me? What led me? What caused me to step out because I felt like something was missing here that I felt that I could get there? What was I searching for? What was I longing for? Were they superficial? Were they legitimate concerns, but I just handled it incorrectly? These are the conversations that you have to have with yourself and with your spouse in order to know how to enter back into the relationship. Because you want something new, you want something different. And we think that new and different can only be found outside of the marriage. But no, new and different can be found in the marriage when you're taking the time to have conversations that really unpack what led you to where you currently you are. And so reestablishing the foundation for your marriage is critically important, and assessing what you need and want is a part of that process. Then the next thing is you got to identify alternate sources of excitement. You know, we say this all the time. A lot of times people are addicted to things. Some people are addicted to porn. Some people are addicted to drugs. Some people are addicted to alcohol. Now, it's not the alcohol within itself or the drug within itself or the porn within itself, but it's what they're hoping to experience, and they're using these vehicles to take them there, right? And so if you think about it, what is it that you're searching for? What was it that you were longing for that you used the affair to get, that you used the affair to experience? So you went down a bad, negative, destructive path to chase a feeling that you were searching for. Well, whatever that feeling was that you were searching for, maybe it's a legitimate feeling. Maybe it's an awesome feeling to have, but you went the wrong way to get there. This is when you have to reevaluate and figure out how you can get the feeling by doing things the appropriate way, by tapping further into the relationship within your marriage to experience what you thought that you couldn't. This is why it's so important to sit down with a counselor to help you begin to unpack some things. Because when you have a working knowledge and understanding of what led you to that place and what you were actually searching for in the first place, because many people are misguided in what it is that they think that they ultimately want. And they realize it's not even about him. It's not even about her. Because her could have been someone else. He could have been someone else. It's typically not about the person, but something that I was missing within myself that I was searching for, or a marital void, or some situation, and I went down the wrong destructive path to get it. But everything that I was looking for could have been found in my own relationship. And the last point, guys, listen, once you've ended this relationship and you've taken all the appropriate steps, you've got to tell your partner. You've got to have that conversation with them, because you don't want the future of your relationship to be predicated upon lies. Let me tell you something, guys. Whatever secret you hold, you give it power, and it will create this invisible wedge that exists between you and your spouse. It will impact your level of intimacy. It will impact your level of connection. And so having a challenging conversation and knowing how that should be facilitated is critically important to the healing and recovery process. So guys, we're talking about ways in which to end the affair. I know that this is an important topic because many people are struggling with this right now, but I'm telling you, if you just follow these steps, it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference in your life. It'll make a difference in your marriage, and it will help in the recovery process. You've been watching the Couples Academy show. Hope you got something out of this particular episode. See you in the morning for another episode. Take care.